So a few months ago I traded all of my full frame cameras and my lenses for this micro four thirds system, this Olympus EM1 Mark II. It is obscured by a very large polarizing filter, and in tonight's video I just want to talk about my micro four thirds journey so far, my thoughts, my feelings and how I found the experience to be. So let's go for a walk on some very beautiful woodland on a very beautiful late spring evening. Let's get stuck in.
If I wrote you a song, if I got every word perfectly weighted on a thin piece of paper, would it make
So around the back
any
end of
difference?
2022, I'd found myself in a place with my photography where I was going a little bit frustrated, and it was more to do with camera gear than anything else. Now you see, I like to do outside photography. I like to go for a little bit of a walk around, get some exercise, enjoy the outdoors, and carrying a couple of big full frame cameras and a set of full frame lenses was getting a little bit cumbersome, was getting a little bit tiresome. I was just getting a little bit bored of lumping it all around, and I kind of needed an out from that. And it just so happened that a friend of mine, David Flower, some of you may know him from these YouTube videos, he picked up an Olympus EM10 Mark II, a broken one at that, for actually quite a bargain. And having seen it, I was intrigued by the whole situation. So I went on eBay and I picked up a broken Olympus EM10 Mark II, like Dave did, and instantly fell in love with the whole concept of it from the very second that I took it out shooting at the beach near Withensea. Now, it wasn't so much from an image quality point of view, it was more from the point of view of features and lightweightness and how portable and capable the camera actually was. And that was purely a entry-level edition of the Micro Four Thirds system. So a few weeks later I went out and picked up the EM5 Mark II that this is being filmed on right now, and the slightly more high-end camera, we'll call it. It really just kind of cemented my original thoughts of the Micro Four Thirds system. So everything that I was enjoying about the EM10 Mark II was kind of amplified with the EM5 Mark II, because the feature set again was a little bit more of an improvement, the camera was a little bit more capable, and I wasn't really losing out on the image quality again like I thought I was going to do. So fast forward another few weeks and we hopped into the EM1 Mark II, which is a high-end Micro Four Thirds camera with the 12-40 Pro lens. And in all honesty, do I miss full frame? No, I don't. Now, a lot of people tend to associate the Micro Four Thirds format with bad image quality, and I can kind of see that. If you're the type of person that wants to throw on a 7200mm lens and pick out individual leaves from a tree 3 miles away, then by all means get the full frame camera and the full frame lens. You're going to get the resolution, you're going to get the image quality. I'm not going to lie about that. There is a difference with the image quality. Okay, let's get that out in the open. There is a difference, but my point is it's not that much of a difference. You're not going to really worry about it too much if you're somebody like me who just wants to go out and take pictures and have fun. I'm not a pixel peeper by any stretch of the imagination. So I've just spent the last 20-30 minutes just walking around this field area behind me that is now somewhat more accessible. There's a flock of sheep that has appeared in there and they've kind of trampled down and eaten away a lot of the overgrown grasses and ferns in there, so a lot of the central area of it is now accessible again. So I found some new photographs that I'm going to show you in a few seconds. Now, one of the points I want to make around this whole Micro Four Thirds thing is the point around dynamic range. There seems to be this mentality that Micro Four Thirds cameras have poor dynamic range, and in fact the opposite of that I found to be true. You see, this camera here, this Olympus EM1 Mark II, has just shy of 13 stops. We'll call it 13 stops. It's 12.8 stops, but we'll call it 13 stops for the purposes of my maths ability at this time of night. But every single Canon camera that I've had has had less than 12. So this Micro Four Thirds camera here has more dynamic range built into the sensor than my Canon 5D Mark III, my Canon RP, my Canon 6D, my Canon 200D, my Canon 400D, my Canon 350D. I know we're getting a little bit old now, but I'm hoping you see the point. I believe maybe the myth comes from the early days of Micro Four Thirds when it was just kind of cutting its teeth. But if you go out now and buy a modern Micro Four Thirds camera, the feature set in that, the sensor capability of these cameras, it'll absolutely blow you away like it has done me. So now that I've got that off my chest, because it's a real bugbear of mine, is that people think Micro Four Thirds has bad dynamic range. It really, really doesn't. And again, it's ISO dependent, so if you start creeping up your ISO on full frame, you can wave bye-bye to that dynamic range. So I was asked recently if I miss any of the Canon gear, the full frame stuff, and well, I have to be honest with you, I do in a way. It was a brand I was familiar with. It was a system I was familiar with. I knew what I was getting in terms of image quality from the camera and lens combinations that I was using because I'd used them for so long. I could use those cameras with my eyes closed. I knew the systems inside out. But would I go back? Probably not, knowing what I know now. You see, I've recently sort of changed my mind on cameras, so to speak. I've kind of realised that gear doesn't matter all that much. What matters is going out and having fun, enjoying taking photographs, enjoying using the system that you have. It's not all about having the latest and the greatest. It's not all about having the most expensive. It's about finding something that works for you and does exactly what you want. And that is where I've landed with the Micro Four Thirds, somewhat by accident, you could call it. It was something of a complete accident, stumbling across it. But I believe I've had a lot more fun recently with my photography than I've had for quite some time. Now, that doesn't mean that every time I go out I get perfect amazing light or perfectly amazing skies, because well, 9 times out of 10 I come out, it's either clear blue skies like we've got now, which is a little bit uninspiring, or it's grey, drizzly and raining, and welcome to the UK. But I think the situations that I found myself in with these cameras, knowing what I know now, all of the situations where I'm going to get that light, all of the situations where I'm going to get the conditions, going to be in those locations, I think it's going to improve my photography, just being able to use something that does what I need it to do. So with that being said, I think I'm going to crack the macro lens out because I've just seen a spider and I really want to take a photograph of it. Hopefully it's a spider anyway. It's a mosquito on a spider web. Let's take a photograph of it. So my advice to anybody picking up a camera who's just starting out with this hobby with photography is don't take everything you see on YouTube at face value. Now, that may seem strange coming from somebody who is currently stood here recording a YouTube video, but the trap I fell into when I first picked it up was I found all of the same channels that you're probably watching or probably watched in the past, and I kind of fell into the trap of thinking that if I buy the same gear that these people that I'm watching are using, it will improve my photography, and that's not necessarily going to be the case. Now, that will in a sense work for image quality, so full frame lenses, full frame cameras, image quality absolutely phenomenal. You go out there and buy a Canon R5 and stick a 24 to 105 or a 24 to 70, whatever the lenses are these days, on that, and you're going to get fantastically amazing image quality from that. It's going to absolutely blow this system away. I'm not going to lie to you and say that. But what matters most is about improving your skill set as a photographer. And what I have found over these last few months is having a system that I can trust, having a system that I know does what I want, and it's allowed me to explore myself as a photographer rather than relying on the camera as a photographer. I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is spend time and invest in yourself. Find something that works for you. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. Don't worry about what other people are using. Just find something that's going to work for yourself, like I have done with the Micro Four Thirds stuff. I'm not necessarily saying a Micro Four Thirds camera, but just find something that works for you and invest in yourself. We're getting very sentimental this evening, aren't we? So I really hope tonight's video has helped some of you out there in YouTube land to change your mindset about what it is you need from a camera system. Now, I'm not suggesting that this Micro Four Thirds thing is for everybody. It was more about changing mindsets away from using what everybody else is using and going out there and finding something that you're comfortable using. I'm comfortable using this Olympus camera. You may not be. You may be comfortable using a Fuji camera. I couldn't think of anything worse than using a Fuji camera. It's all about finding something that works for you as a photographer, not necessarily what everybody you know is using. So I really do hope that helps out. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really does help the video and it brings new viewers to see my content. If you're new here, please do consider hitting the subscribe button, which I'm going to guess is that side today. I think this mirror's around, I can never get it right. I think the subscribe button's somewhere down there. It's big, it's red, it says subscribe in white letters. Please do press it. It really does make me look cool in front of all my friends, and I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're nearly at 7,000 subscribers and we're getting there. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and peace and goodbye.